Okay, so far we created different stages. So far we created different stages where we are going to get the code from Git, run Maven, then build Docker image, push it to Docker Hub, push it to Docker Hub. Now, if I want to create a container on the same mission wherever I have Docker, I no need to pull it and all. The image is already there. Just create one more stage, Docker run, image name, and the whatever you want, you give the details, it will create the container. And I don't want to do that. What I want to do is I want to connect to a different mission. I want to connect to a different mission, my dev environment, or else I want to connect to my QA environment server where my Docker is there, and then create a container. So this is my Jenkins. Here on this Linux instance, my Jenkins is installed. Here I have built the image. From here only I have pushed the image to Docker, one more Docker hub. Right now I want to connect to one more instance from my Jenkins. I want to connect to this instance and then create a container. Create a container. For that, let me explain first. Then I'll tell you. First, let me explain that. What I want to do is you need to create one stage. Okay, I want to connect to different servers, so I want to create one stage. Okay, fine. Now to connect to that means first using Jenkins, let me show you that. Using Jenkins, first I need to connect to this server. First I need to go here. Fine, first I need to go here, because if I run a Docker command here, it will create the container here only. Right? If I use in my Jenkins pipeline job, let me quickly show you here. If I create here, let me show you on here. If I create a stage, create container, I'll take another 15 minutes, guys. Create container and execute Docker run, right? So all the details, like if I execute the Docker run command, I'm not going to write everything. So if I write execute this, if I write like this, where it will create the container, on which mission it will create the container. In the Jenkins, if I give the Docker run command like this, where it is going to create the container?
Jenkins mission itself.
In the same mission, wherever my Jenkins is there, here itself. I don't want to do that. First, I want to create a container here. So first from here, you need to connect here. First, you need to connect there. How to connect is, you know SSH command, right? You know SSH. How to SSH is a different mission. I explained in Linux. You don't tell I don't know, I'll kill you. SSH. Using SSH, you give the IP address of that mission. So here, you execute SSH command. You give the IP address of this mission, and to connect to this mission, username and password of this mission you have to give. That's it. If you give that SSH username and password of this mission and IP address, it will connect from here to here this mission. Then you execute the Docker command. So it will be connected to this mission. There it will execute the Docker command. So SSH, right? SCP, how we copy. SSH, how we connect from one mission to other mission, right? So that I am going to do now. Okay, let me take that. So how to do this SSH? How to do this SSH? It's very simple. Take this. Right? You can pass like this. SSH username, IP address, -p, -u. The username syntax is there. Username syntax and path where you want to copy, and -p password like that you can give. The password, if I give directly as usual like this, right? If you give the password here, it should not be visible, right? Okay, I want to give it a secret. Okay, we'll see that. But before doing that, what we have to do is to connect from there to one mission to other mission, execute there, we need to use one concept in Jenkins called as SSH agent. There is one option called as SSH agent. By default, you will not get it. By default, you will not get this stage. So step, what should I do then? If I'm not getting this step here by default, then what should I do?
Add plugins.
Add plugin. Go to manage Jenkins. Now you are clear, right? Jenkins works based on plugins. Manage plugins, available. SSH agent. SSH-agent. There is one plugin called as SSH, not SSH, SSH agent. There is one plugin called as SSH agent. You add this plugin. Okay, this plugin has to be added. Okay, it will add. Now you go to this pipeline syntax generator, refresh it. Now you search for SSH agent. Now you got this option, right? Select this. Now you have to give the details. Now to connect from this mission to this mission, how can you connect? IP address you have to give. Now, okay, other than IP address, username and password you need, right? You can connect from username and password. Yes or no?
Yes.
So now username and password. So I want to connect from my Jenkins to that Docker host, means the second mission, A mission to the B mission, using username and password. So what is going to be my username? EC2-user, EC2-user. Password, I don't have username and password. I don't have username and password to my this mission. How we log in? How we will connect to this mission? Are we connecting with username and password, or else username with PEM file? Secret
PEM
file.
file.
Secret file. This assignment, take this assignment. I'll explain in one day how to set password for EC2-user. How to set password for EC2-user. So far we are connecting, always we are connecting with PEM file only. In real time will not connect with PEM file. I said this already. We'll connect with username and password only. So how to set username and password for EC2-user? Take this as assignment and come for tomorrow's class. Anyways, I'll explain.
We did this assignment in the initial AWS.
You did it.
Initial class.
Okay. Then okay. If you remembered it, it's okay. If not, I think I remember in AWS initial classes only I gave that. Okay, if you have done it and remembered it, it's okay, fine. If not, just refresh it or else do that assignment once again. Okay. Anyways, I have not used username and password. If you have used your username and password, you can select this username and password. If you have set a password for your EC2-user, right? For this mission, on this mission, if you have a EC2-user and set the password for that user, you can use this. You can use this. But I don't have username and password. Then what should I do? Any other option can I select here? Can I select this
Secret
option?
file.
Secret file illa. Username with private key. Can I select this? I can select this. Yes. Okay. I can use this option. So if you want to use username and password, you can set it. But for my host, I don't have username and password. Right? In real time, we use username and password only. But for now, again, I have to set that password and all. I'm not going to set. Anyways, you know, right? So once you set the password for that EC2-user, you can use this option. But anyways, I'm going to use a PEM file only. So username, right? For example, I'll select EC2-PEM something. The description also EC2-user PEM. Right? The username is EC2-user. I don't have password. So for that, what I'll do is I'll use the PEM file itself. So for this instance also, I'm using the same PEM file. So let me go to that PEM file, open it. PEM file, this PEM file, I'm going to take it. Enter Control A, Control C. I'll go here and paste it. Right? Enter directly. So I'm selecting, right? So username, private key, enter directly, add. I'm giving this. Okay, private key. Instead of using password, I'm giving this private key, PEM file to connect, right? Select this, click on generate. So it has generated the script. Take it and put it inside script in your stage. That's it. Inside that block, using those credentials, your Jenkins will allow, and whatever you have written on this, your Jenkins will allow to execute on this mission. For this ID, you have given the credential, right? It will allow whatever you pass here, it will allow with these credentials on this host. Okay, next. Okay, let me explain this, guys, in detail. I want to explain few more things here, right? So first, let me write the command. I want to create the container, right? So let me create the container first, the command to create the container. So now I'm going to write like this. Let me explain here only. First, I want to create a variable. And for that variable, whatever the command I have to use to create my container, I have to set that. So this command, docker run -itd, name of the container, port number mapping, and the image, whatever you want to pull and create the container. That details you have to give here. So this command I'm storing inside a variable called as run container. Understood? I'm just, to make my job easy, I'm just storing that command inside a variable. Understood, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
I'm writing this. Now let me adjust here. Docker run, name of the container is KC Tech, I'll give it, right? Port number same. Okay, KC Technology DevOps, but the image name is different, right? Let me copy as it is. Okay, so this is my command, docker run. I want to run it in interactive mode, and name of the container should be this one. this is mandatory. Here, this is mandatory. I said, right, using custom name of the container. Whenever you create a container, container ID and container name will be generated by default. By default, container ID will be generated by automatically by Docker itself, but container name also generated by default. But you have to set the name. You have to give a custom name. I was saying that was recommended. I said now we'll come to the know the value of that custom name, right? You'll see that. Now I have this KCTech and port number mapping and the image what I want to use to create my container. Yes, this is my command. So this is where I'm writing inside the stage, but out of this SSH agent function, out of this. And what I'll do is inside my SSH agent option, I'll write this option here. I'll write this command here. Now, what is this? SH, I want to execute, right? I want to execute SSH hyphen host key checking. What is this? I'll explain in a moment. I'll come remove this. I'll explain this later. SSH, right? So SSH into which mission? This mission. What is the IP address of this mission? Public IP address I'll take. If they both are in the same network, you can use private IP, but I'm using public IP. Who knows? In real time, it may be on a different network. So let me go with the public IP. So I'm giving the public IP. Means SSH into this mission. SSH into this mission means connect into this mission. Using what user? EC2 user. EC2 user. For this user, I already have set a password here. Means either password or a PIM file, secret key, however you have configured, right? I already set it here. So if I use this user within this function, the password or the PIM file, the secret file of that user will be used. That is the reason we are using. You observe here, it will be clearly visible here. You observe here. So I have used SSH agent, right? So while creating SSH agent, I have set this ID, and for this, I have given the user as EC2 user and password, either password or PIM file I have used, right? So within this function, right? This is starting of the function, ending of the function. So I can use that username and credentials. So I'm using that username. So automatically within this function, if I use that user, the password or a PIM file of that user, whatever I have set, right? Those will be used. So now I'm using for this user, this IP address means I want to SSH into this mission using this user, but I'm not giving password here. Why? Because the password will be taken from this SSH agent only, right? Next, after connecting to this mission, what I want to do? I want to execute Docker run command. So instead of writing this entire command here, it looks very big, right? What I did, I already stored that command inside a variable. Just I'll read that variable dynamically. I'll just read that variable. Understood, guys? So instead of doing this, you can directly paste the command here. No issue. You can do this. But it looks very big. And it is not easy for maintaining also. So what I did, I just stored that command here and just reading that command here. Understood, guys? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right, just another 5 minutes I'll end up. Don't worry, it's a long session, of course, I know. Next, why I am passing this? While SSHing into what I'm saying, SSH into this mission using this username, and for the username the secret key or password will be taken from here, and execute this command. After connecting to that mission, execute this command. I'm saying, okay, fine. But why I have to this strict? This is also interview question, too much important. This SSH agent also important. How to connect from one mission to mission, you will do like that and all. I'll ask SSH agent and how the steps also they'll ask. And why uses this strict host key checking equal to no? Strict host key checking equal to no. By default, if you don't pass this parameter, like this, if you leave it without passing, if you don't pass this, right? By default, that strict key host checking equal to yes, it will be there by default, but you have to change it to no and pass. Why? Because have you observed, guys? For example, if I'm trying to connect to my Windows mission to this instance, if I'm connecting to any tool newly for the first time, it will ask yes or no to confirm. It will ask yes or no. Do you remember? It will ask yes or no. It will ask
Yes.
to confirm. But
Yes, sir.
once I confirm yes, it will not ask. For example, let me show you this again. Right? I'm closing my terminal. I'll try to connect to this instance. I'll use a new terminal. See, observe here. It will ask, is it asking for yes or no?
Yes.
Yes or no, it is asking.
Yes.
So here
Yes.
I am a human. I know this is asking a question. I have to pass it, enter yes here. I'm entering it here, right? Next time it will not ask in the same terminal. That is a different scenario. But I'm a human. I know it. It is asking for yes or no. I can give it. But as it is in the script, when this mission tries to connect to this mission for the first time, this mission will also ask for yes or no, right? Because by default, why it asked here? Because that strict host key checking was true. That is the reason it asked. So if that is true here, when Jenkins tries to connect to this mission, it will ask yes or no. But it is a tool. It is not a human who will type their yes and enter. We won't be there, right? So that is the reason we are passing -o strict host key checking equal to no. Means you don't ask that. You don't ask me that yes or no. Without asking, you try to connect to that. You try to connect to that mission, I'm saying. Understood, guys, why we use this option?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's it. So now let me take this, right, this strict host key checking and put it there. So I already modified my file. I think I already gave the IP address and all, right? Now let me take this stage. Put inside my, Jenkins pipeline. Guys, I'm trying my level best to explain, because this is too much important in real time knowledge, interviews, whatnot, everywhere. I'm trying my level best explaining each and every small concept also, right? You see in any YouTube video, no one will explain for hours, maybe 30 minutes done. But I'm taking more than 1.5 hours explaining each and everything. Try to understand, concentrate on this. This is too much important. Practice. Everyone has to practice this by tomorrow. If you don't practice this, that's it, you will not get job for sure. I'm guarantee that. Even if you have a job, you cannot implement it. This is too much important. This is how we do in real time. Okay. Anyways, let me save this and run. I think there is a syntax error. Let me go here. No syntactical error. Okay, then stage is here. Yeah, there is a error, syntax error. I have to see here. If I put a cursor here, it is highlighting the closing bracket. So for this SSH agent function, this is a closing bracket. For this, it is a closing the bracket. For this, I think it's if I type this. So for this is the stage closing here. So I have to put one more bracket to end that starting one. So let me save it. Build now. Okay, see here, check out SCM build push image A. Okay. Now the create container stage is getting executed. Let's see what will happen. Done. Success. If you go to the log, it is saying already exists something, it is saying, and then it is downloaded your image, something it is saying, it has created the container. Now let me go to this mission. This is my Docker host. This is my Docker host mission, guys. See this, right? 172, this one, 18.2.16.
So on this Docker host mission, you install Docker,
Of
Docker
course.
is running, and
course.
you have added the user.
No need to add a user, because it will automatically come and execute. But okay, this was yesterday. But you see now, just now, that is, yeah, you need to install Docker. Of course, if you don't install their Docker, what is the use, right? I already said, right? There is a dev Docker where you have Docker installed, everything, right? Now, is this created a container just now, right? 30 seconds ago, right? Using this image, using the custom name, it has created the container. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Right? So did we achieve our job?
Yes.
We are successfully able to implement this Docker integration with Jenkins and able to create the containers on a different remote mission, not on the same Jenkins mission, on a different host. Now the cinema is not yet done. The climax is there. Now let me show you one thing. I'll trigger my Jenkins job once again. It is success. What I'll do is For my satisfaction, let me trigger once again, right? I achieve something. I'm so happy. Let's trigger once again. If we like something, if we eat it, we will not satisfy. We will try to eat one more, right? Let's try to build it once again and see what will happen. It failed. Arre, why it failed? Can you guess why it failed? Before opening the lock, can you guess why it failed?
Already container exists with that name.
Exactly. Brilliant, man. Okay. There is a container already running because I have set in the Docker run command, I have set the container name. I have set the container name, right? Here in the pipeline script itself, you can see the container name I have set. So already container in this job, the 12th job has created a container, and the 13th job tries to create a container. It will say, hey, dude, already there is a container running. You see here it is saying error response from daemon conflict. The container name KCTech is already in use by container. You have to remove or rename the container to be. Now already I have a container. So what should I do? In real time, when the job gets triggered, for example, a developer has written a code, they have committed this. I have enabled inside my job, I have enabled ColeSEM or something I have enabled, right? So whenever that commit happens or ColeSEM triggers, my job will execute. So what is the script here? It will take the code, the latest code from Git. It will build a new Maven var file, build the image. Right. Anyways, we'll change the tag. I'll tell you once again how to change and maintain the different versions and all for each commit or for each trigger or like different cases, how we maintain the versioning of image and var files. Maven var file, we have to maintain the change of version, right? And the images also dynamically. It is hard coded. N number of times your Jenkins job trigger, it will be 1.0 version. If you want to change the version automatically, right? One way is every time the developer has to change the version in their Docker file or Jenkins file and commit it, or else we have to write a script and change this. I'll discuss that part again later. You leave it there. So whenever a developer commits the code, so it will take the code from Git, run Maven, build the image, then push the image to Docker Hub, and then connect to the remote host and then create the container. For example, if it is a latest image, if you change the version, again it has to create a new container with the latest image. Now tell me, I created one container with 1.0 version. 1.0 version, I created one container called as KCTech. Now developers has modified the code and new version of code is available. I'm creating 1.1 version of image. Now tell me, with this, I'll create one more container. So do I need to maintain both the containers, KCTech and KCTech 1? Do I need to maintain both the containers?
No need, sir.
No, I have to remove the old container and create a new container with the latest image, right? So in that case, what should you do? Either you are building with the same version image or different version of image. Before creating the container, you try to stop and remove your old container. You try to stop and remove your old container like this. You create one stage, right? Create one container, Docker rm-force, right? You should not use -force. You have to execute like stop it first and then remove. I just for a easy thing I have given. First you have to run Docker stop container name. Here I said the benefit, right? What is the benefit of using custom container? If you don't use a custom name here, right? Every time a default name will be given. You don't know what is the name, right? Every time when a container gets created, a new name, new ID will come. So in the script, you don't know what has to be removed. If you use a custom name, blindly you can write Docker remove the container name. So the same container it will remove, with the same name it will create a new container. So third time if we trigger the job, okay, before creating the container, the name is fixed, right? It will remove the container, it will create a next container with the same name. So fourth time job triggers, it will remove the same container with the same name, right? It will create a container with the bad name. So name is fixed here. Understood? You got the benefit of doing this, guys?
Yes, sir.
So now let me take this test. Let me quickly complete this. Right, I'm going to create one. Before creating the container, I'm going to create one more stage. Remove existing container, and the name of the container is this one. Actually, you have to stop. Two commands you have to execute. Stop and what is that? Remove. But forcibly, for now, let me use forcibly. In real time, you have to stop and remove. Next, IP address of that mission. Change this. Okay. I think key I have used the same key. container RMK step, not checking, no such containers exist. Take this, put your Jenkins job. Before creating the container, put a stage here, save it, build it. Now 13th time it failed, right? 14th time you see it here. So I'll tell you about that version changes, how to maintain the versions dynamically and all. We'll discuss later, because the fixed version we cannot use it. One way is the developers, whenever they want, they can change the image version, right? It will create a fresh image. Now you see here, done. Now I'll trigger one more time. I'll trigger 15th time. It started triggering. However, how many times I trigger? No problem. No problem. How many times I trigger? Why? Because it will take the code from Git, run Maven, generate a new artifact, build an image. If you use a different version, it will generate with the new version. If it is the same version with the same version, it will override the same image. Then push the image to Docker Hub. While pushing also, if you use a different version, it will maintain a different tag. If you use the same tag, it will override the previous tag, the image with the same tag. It will override. Then remove the container on the remote host machine and connect to the same remote host machine, create a container. Understood, guys?
Sir,
Yes.
sir, for stopping and removing containers, two variables should be created and two
Yes,
times.
yes. Same thing. How you are creating two variables? You create two variables here, and the same here, one stop command and remove command.
Yes, sir.
Understood?
Two times shell script we have to SHSH.
Yeah, yes. Two commands you have to write. Or else you can create a shell script and call it on this machine also. That is up to you how you handle. Anyways, you can write like two commands. Stop
Okay.
command, remove command. Okay, understood, guys? Now one question. Here the job has failed. For example, just think I am the one of the developer and you are the DevOps engineer. I committed a code. I committed one piece of code, 2-3 lines of code. Okay, I think I know that my DevOps team has enabled the Jenkins job to trigger and create a container. I'm waiting. I change some code. For example, if I try to access this container, right? How I have to access this one? Take IP address. I deployed my container right here in this host machine. I deployed my container. How to access this? 80/80 slash. What is my var file name? Yes, let me take it from the console.
KC Tech.
Yeah, let me take that. This is how I access my application, right? KC Technologies, this application. I change for phone. For example, I'm the developer. I want to change the phone number here or mail ID. Something I changed and I committed. Okay, Jenkins.trigger. I was thinking, Jenkins.trigger, and it will deploy into the Docker host. I can test it after some time. Okay, 5 minutes happened. I tested, not working. 10 minutes happened, not tested. How can I know that the job has failed? Actually, the job has failed. But I am a developer. I committed my code. I'm waiting. My changes will reflect in the container. I'm waiting, but it is not reflecting. So when I asked you, you went into Jenkins and checked the job has actually failed. So I don't want this headache. I don't want to wait. If the job fails, I don't want to wait and inform you. You check it and all. I want to enable email notifications. I want to enable Slack notifications. Right? Whenever the job fails, I want to get an email. As a DevOps engineer, you as a developer, I want to get an email. The job has failed with so and so reason. With the console output message, I want to get an email notification. Or else in real time, how we have Slack channel, right? How we have Slack channel. So in real time, companies also will have Slack channels, developers, DevOps team on them. So in the Slack channel, I want to get one notification. So if I post a document in our Slack channel, you'll get notification, right? Someone posted this document like that. So like that, whenever a job fails in the Slack channel, in our Slack group, we have to get one notification. The Jenkins job has failed and all. So you can integrate that also. Okay, that I'm not going to explain. I'll do a separate video in one class and share it. You don't need to join for that and all, or else you can join when I do. But anyways, I'll share a document. This document, whatever I have implemented, right? So Jenkins integration or Docker, it is, where is that? In Docker document, I think. I'll share that. Okay. Okay, I'll share it. How to pushing Docker images to Docker Hub, I'll tell you. And along with that, maybe in Jenkins, I have, I think, that how to integrate Slack. Okay, Jenkins email and Slack notification, how to implement. I have created a document with each and every single step. Okay, I'll give that. You can go and practice that. Okay, but anyways, I'll do means I'm concentrating on the main concepts. So once I'm done this, I will give this also. This email notifications or Slack notifications important in real time. Without that, if you implement Jenkins job also, it is not good. Okay, it is mandatory for each and every job. We'll write that email notifications and Slack notifications. Understood, guys? So anyways, for now, let me
Yes, sir.
explain it. So email notification, how you have to implement, how the job looks if you enable email notification or Slack notification. Let me quickly show you. Right. So if you go, these are the steps you have to write, like git checkout, SCM, right? So like this, you'll write. Next, Maven build, right? If it is success, I want to send a notification. So you have to write one stage. So you have to write that BCC, what is the body, email, right? Thanks, that and all you have to write. CC whom you want to CC and all. Like this, you have to define this in a stage and then write it, right? Then you have to send that. So this is for the next step is for Slack notification, how to do it and all. So I'll explain this in one of the classes, don't worry. So in the Slack notification, you have to write one stage, and Slack will have one base URLs, right? The channel name, whether it is a good color, red color or green color, like that, right? What is the message, like that and all, you have to mention that. You can go through this document, but anyways, I'll explain in one of the classes. Okay. In scripted pipeline and declarative pipeline, right? So far I explained scripted pipeline. One important point I forgot to tell. Let me quickly say you, right? In Jenkins will have master slave configuration, right? Jenkins will have master slave configuration. If it's a Maven style of job, if you want to restrict, a job to execute only on particular node, how will restrict? Inside the job, we'll set the label of the job, right?
Yes, sir.
Right. But inside a pipeline job, if it is a pipeline job, and if you want to restrict this job to execute only on particular node, how will restrict here? Yes, you're right. In the node, you'll give the label here. In the node, the name in the node is there, right? Inside the node here, you'll write the label here. So here, inside this, here, you'll write the label in the double quotes or single quotes. You have to write the label. So you are restricting this job to be executed on this particular labeled node. Understood, guys?
Yes, sir.
And you remember, in here you can use either single quotes or double quotes. And also remember this, wherever you are reading variables here, you have to keep that variables reading in either double quotes or single quotes, else it will not work in Groovy scripts. Understood, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's it. And I was saying something, right? What I was saying before this?
Email notification.
Email notification, Slack notification, anyways, I'll tell. So here you can write that. Anyways, I explained one, I have for sample, if you want to look at, you can check the Sonar Slack report. If Sonar report check, right? If a Sonar Cube report fails, I want to send an email notification, right? Like this. I want to send a Slack notification, like this I can send, right? Like this also you can enable that. I'll tell you this. Okay, I'll tell you this later. Okay, guys, I'm stopping here, right? This one I was saying, Groovy script and in Groovy shell script and scripted format and declarative format. Scripted format. And if, before starting the script format itself, if you want to set some variables, right? Def, like this you can set. If you want to set a group of variables also, you can set it and read them wherever it is required. Params, different parameters for parameter jobs, you can set like this and all. Anyways, we'll learn slowly we'll learn one by one. So this, how by seeing this itself, you can tell it is scripted format. See, I'm taking the code from GitHub, run Maven, and try-catch block I'll explain tomorrow. Try-catch blocks I'll explain tomorrow. Okay, what is this try-catch blocks and all? I'll explain tomorrow. First I'll explain this, and then I'll start Kubernetes tomorrow. Okay, next, if it is a Groovy, declarative script, it start like this: pipeline agent any, means this pipeline script can execute on any slave anywhere. If you give the slave label name here, it will execute only on particular node. If you want to restrict that in a scripted format, you have to restrict here. If you don't want to restrict, you can leave it empty. If you want to restrict in a declarative job, here you have to restrict. If you don't want to restrict, you can give as any an environmental variable. Here also you'll write stages, right? Stages you have to write inside that stages, one stage. Again, one more stage, build Maven. Again with Maven, if you add that plugin, you will get it, but we can use this also. If you don't want to use the tool and all, if you don't want to use tool, with Maven, one option you can add that and get it. That is a different scenario. Next, you can write this different stages. Even in that stage, see, we have stages in declarative scripting. I'm talking stages. Inside that, you can write stage like this. Inside this stage, if you have multiple actions, you can divide that again into steps. But anyways, I'm not going to discuss about declarative script. I'm going to discuss about scripted format only. So if you want, you can just check the differences between declarative and scripted formats in Google. Okay, declarative will have predefined things. So many things inbuilt will be there. You have to remember the functions and do it. Whereas scripted is like a white paper. Everything you have to write. It is flexible. However you want, you can write it. But in declarative, it's not like that. It has its own. See, steps, RT upload, something it has. You have to remember this and do it. Understood, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's it. I'm stopping here. We'll meet tomorrow. First, I'll explain. First 5 to 10 minutes, I'll explain about try-catch blocks, and then I'll discuss about what is that? Kubernetes. See here also I used try-catch block. I forgot to explain this. Anyways, we'll discuss that tomorrow. Okay, try-catch block I used in this Jenkins file only.
Sir, one question.
Yeah. I'll explain
What,
this. I'll explain this tomorrow. Okay. So this try-catch blocks. Okay, yeah, we'll answer that. You join back. I'll answer your question. So this try-catch blocks I forgot to explain. I explain in the next session. Okay. First 5 to 10 minutes I'll explain this, and then I'll discuss about Kubernetes. Don't miss tomorrow's class. If you miss tomorrow's class, then it's better to skip Kubernetes classes. You'll not understand anything. Okay. Don't miss tomorrow's Kubernetes class. That's too much important. Okay, guys, practice this. Without practicing this, it's useless. It's too much important. Too much means too much.